hearing that?
It was mixed emotions, satisfaction that the internal documents were revealed, and what we as parents, survivor parents, have known all along going through all of this. Social media, the algorithm is designed to keep kids addicted, and that all came out in the courtroom. So that was just gratifying to see the accountability actually happen and hold the platforms accountable. But the cost was just too great. The cost of the lost young lives, including my son, was just too great. So there are some mixed emotions there. You know, it was every emotion you can imagine in the moment.
And how many other parents have you talked to and connected with who've been through a similar experience and had to deal with a tragedy similar to yours?
Thousands. Thousands.
Thousands.
Mason, yeah, Mason's been gone for 7 years, and I constantly get messages from parents asking either my child's been harmed by social media or my child died from a social media platform, whether it was a challenge or whether it was cyberbullying and suicide, whether it was sextortion, whatever the case, all of these things, fentanyl, sold to them on Snapchat, just various things, all the platforms, all of them. Yeah.
And do you feel that it has gotten any better? There's been obviously just in general a public pressure campaign on many of these social media companies for them to crack down and to put more safety guardrails in there for children. And in many ways, some of them are advertising what they've done to try and protect children online. Do you feel like it's gotten better, or do you feel like they're not even close to getting to the goal that it needs to be at?
They're not even close, because what they do is it's more like a PR stunt. They will claim, like, let's say Instagram teens, you can see it always correlates with a court case or a Senate hearing or something they're involved with. They will come out and claim, oh, we have 40 or more protections in place on Instagram teens, and when they're tested, only 8 of those work as promised. And so not only they obviously cannot self-regulate, and that's why we need laws in place. The states are really picking up the pace, and the states are passing laws, and that's amazing. But in addition to those state laws, we need federal laws. And right now, there's the Kids Online Safety Act is on the table. The Senate version is a great version. The House version is much weaker. We're not really in favor. We, the parents, are not really in favor of the House version. We need it to be stronger. We need them to work with the Senate and get it closer to the Senate version.
And I wanted to get to that next because, yes, you've been a big advocate of the Kids Online Safety Act. It would establish a number of different safety guardrails for social media companies when it comes to minors utilizing their platforms. You mentioned that there's 2 versions. There's a Senate version, which passed, I believe, with everybody except for one voting for it last Congress. It sat dormant in the House. Speaker Johnson and several others had a number of different concerns, and that's why you saw a new House version come out. Kind of explain what your understanding of how the bill would work and what the difference is between the Senate version and the House version, why that House version is a problem for you.
Mm-hmm. The Senate version is great. It has just, seriously, the Kids Online Safety Act is a common sense bill. It puts protections in place and gives parents tools they need to protect their kids. So it does things like it turns on automatically for young users. It automatically defaults. It would require them to automatically default to not have the automatic scroll. And it would turn on the most robust safety features by default. And it has a duty of care. And it doesn't preempt state laws. Those are the things in the Senate bill. The House bill does not have a duty of care, meaning that these companies will still not be regulated, and we have seen firsthand that they cannot self-regulate, and there's no other American industry goes unchecked, and they need to be accountable. And if they're going to design a product, just like a car seat or anything else, if they're going to be an American industry and design a product, they need and market it to children, it needs to have safety features built in.
And would you be willing to eat potentially a more watered down version like the one the House has? Because it seems like the problem right now is getting the votes, and that it seems like they're not there, or leadership just doesn't want to bring it to the floor. One of those things. We're trying to figure out which one that is. But are you saying that the House version just would be a no go for your organization?
The House version is out as it is a absolute big no from the parents at Parents SOS and many of the parents around the country. Yes, that all of them that I've heard from, we do not like the House version. We have made that very clear to the House. So we are still waiting on that meeting with Speaker Johnson. He met with Zuckerberg the day after he was found guilty of all charges, all counts, and yet he still will not meet with the parents from Parents SOS. And that is just unconscionable to me.
So have you provided outreach to Speaker Johnson and tried to schedule something with him? And you're saying it just hadn't worked out so far? Or you're not getting any answers?
Many, many, many times we have reached out to his office trying to get a meeting. We go to DC often. We said we will fly there. The Parents SOS group, we're a broad group across the country. We said we'll be there tomorrow. Just tell us when to be there. And he will not meet with us.
Have you been given any answers to why?
No, that's a great question, isn't it? No, no answer.
And on back to the social media trials, and what do you think we should watch for next? Obviously, it seems like Google, Meta, everybody's going to be appealing the initial rulings, but what else? Are there any other potential lawsuits that could come down the pipeline that we should be watching out for?
Yeah, there are already, I think, 1,600 lawsuits on the books waiting to be tried. There's a group of attorneys generals. There are schools, lots of big organizations and people suing them, lots of individuals suing them. But I think that's what we can look for next is these lawsuits. And the win is already there because the internal documents have been exposed, exposing that when Zuckerberg was in the Senate hearing, I was in the first row behind him in the audience. And when he had to turn around and apologize to the parents, he was forced to do that. And it was so not really an apology, but his form of an apology. Sorry, it happened to us. But when he testified at that Senate hearing, his words were that he did not see any correlation between or any proof that social media platforms cause or his social media platform causes harms to teens. And yet in the court documents, it's been revealed that even just one study, and there were thousands, one study showed 18 out of 18 experts recommended to them that they do not use the beauty filter because that would harm the mental health of children. And they chose to do it anyway. So those are the things, and he claimed that he didn't know of any correlation, and yet here's the proof that internally they did the study and they did know that there is harm.
Now, have you tried to reach out to Mark Zuckerberg or any representatives from Meta, and how has that gone?
Yes, we never get a meeting with them as well. We 5 or 6 years ago, I believe, we met with several of the executives at many of the platforms, TikTok and the rest of them, all claiming that they need to do better, putting those temporary or kind of faux fixes in place for a while and then taking them down because obviously the money didn't thrive like it did without the protections. So with all of that, Mark Zuckerberg would not meet with us. None of his executives would meet with us. So we actually had a group of parents who went to their Silicon Valley and went to the front door asking for a meeting. And the security said that nobody could get in. So we have actually gone to the front door knocking on it with no.
Has any social media company agreed to meet with you?
Yes, there have been executives from a few of the companies that have met with us. Mm-hmm.
Are you able to say which ones?
Alphabet, Google, YouTube, and TikTok, and I believe that's the only ones I've met with. I'm not sure about the other parents.
Okay. And last question here, kind of touching on this. They consider these cases and these verdicts that came out last week to be bellwether like cases and bellwether potential verdicts. What kind of impact do you think they'll have on some of these other lawsuits that you mentioned? Thousands of lawsuits that are waiting to be tried.
hmm I think it's going to have a great impact. Apparently, this is just like big tobacco, the trials, and apparently, big tobacco had to go through a couple of these bellwethers to get a win. And here we are with two in 1 week with a win because of these internal documents that have come out and been revealed not only to the jurors but to the public. So this is really setting the pace, and there will only be more and more and more internal documents coming out from the other companies that are sued. I know TikTok and I believe Snap settled out of court on the Los Angeles trial, but there are more cases against them. So we look we're we're thinking we're going to see a lot more evidence come out against all of the platforms. So, and again, this is just a big win for parents because parents, we typically get it's the parents' fault. Why aren't you watching your kids online? Why are you giving your kid a phone? Why are you giving these things happen to parents who are very diligent? I was one of the parents who had all of the safety features that turned on. I checked his devices. I had the hard conversations, but that wasn't enough to protect my son from these harms. The algorithm still fed him the choking challenge unsolicited, and they give it to them in a mass way that they don't see the harm in it in these challenges. And fentanyl sold online, these are kids who have diligent parents, and these kids would not go into a sketchy neighborhood to buy drugs, but when these predators connect with them online, they feel safe because they're bringing it to them and they're promising them it's, a Percocet or something, and here it is laced with fentanyl. So there are all kinds of things that happen, and parents can't do this alone. We're not asking for a free pass. We are just saying we need help because there's no way I can do my due diligence when I go to buy a car seat. I can look at what the manufacturer says, the safety features, but if they're lying to me, I have no way of knowing that, and I put my child in harm because of the lies that they've told. Social media is the same.
And I know I said last question, but I think there is something important to touch on here. I want to know if there's any advice that you would give to parents out there that would help them be more safe online with their kids.
I think, there are lots of things that parents can do. And again, we all play a role. Legislators play a role, educators, litigators, the platforms play a role, and parents have to play a role. And I think one of the things you can do is just keep that door of communication open, because eventually, whether your child has a phone or a school tablet or a friend's phone in their face, they're going to be exposed to things, whether it's a predator or bullying or whatever it is, they're going to be exposed eventually. And so just keeping that door open with them for the conversation, that it feels normalized for them to come to you and say, hey, this person said this, or this predator approached me. Keeping that door open is the big thing. So having those conversations often so that it's normalized and they feel comfortable coming to you and not scared that you're going to take their device away or ground them or punish them. I think that is the biggest thing. And then the other things are delaying social media as long as possible, delaying smartphones. And again, we want parents to be in control of that. We don't want the government controlling that all the time, but we do want parents to have some choices in that. And that is why the Kids Online Safety Act is so important, because it allows parents to be the ones to decide whether their child can be on social media or not for what's right for their family.
All right, she's Joanne Bogard, founder of the Parents for Online Space, or Parents for Safe Online Spaces. We thank you so much. We're sorry for the loss of your son, and we appreciate your time on Live Now from Fox. Thank you.